Good morning and welcome to Menopausal Women Staying Silent About Painful Sex, our virtual gathering for this week. And we are excited to have you here with us. And we're looking to welcome Barb Dehn, our speaker. She hasn't quite arrived yet, but we're hopeful she'll be here soon. I'd like to introduce you to Jean Ketcham, our CEO. Jeannie, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. I am very excited about this topic because, of course, I am pretty far past menopause, but gee whiz, I wish I would have known some of this information before, when I was going through it, because I had a really, really tough time. And my mother wasn't living, so I couldn't really ask her any questions. And back then, I mean, nobody was talking about menopause. And now at least people are starting to talk about it a little. And of course, that's what Aging But Dangerous is all about. That's what our movement is all about, is to get women out there sharing stories and talking to each other about what they're going through. So Nurse Barb has written a book, and here it is. It's a cool, hot guide to a cool, sexy menopause. I love that title. So we are waiting for her, and I don't know, Pat. Are we going to go ahead or?
Well, I think we can talk about it for a few minutes and see if Barb's joining us. I've gotten a text that said that they were reaching out to her. And if not, we'll have to reschedule. But I thought it was a very interesting subject. And I'm thinking that we will have a lot of people that will be interested in knowing more on this subject.
Yes. And I thought it was interesting that there's such a high percentage of women that do experience the pain during sex. And I know I did. It was horrible. And she does have a lot of solutions to that, and both natural and some medications. So the lubricants just don't always take care of that. But of course, I think some women, they help. But I think, again, Pat, I think a lot of women just didn't talk about it and didn't share with each other that much. And they didn't know other women were experiencing the same thing. So
I agree with you, Jeannie. And I thought it was interesting. One of the things that was shared with us in preparation for this was the statistics from the study that was done by HealthyWomen with their Women's Health Advisory Group. And I thought those statistics were very interesting, both in the percentage of women that have the issue. But the other thing that I mentioned to you earlier that I thought was intriguing, 80%, I believe, is the number that of the healthcare providers who say they actively engage in conversation with their patients in that age group after menopause about the issue of painful sex. And yet I think it was like only 60% of the actual women remembered that they'd had a conversation or had actually discussed it. And I thought that was a significant difference. Would you agree?
Yes, it's huge.
Yeah. People, it's always intriguing to me what people think they said and what people thought they heard.
Right. I know it. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and also in the book, she gives all kinds of cooling tips to keep cool when you're having hot flashes. I don't know about you, Pat, but I had horrible hot flashes, and I had them for 20 years. It was just terrible. And I was with somebody the other day. It was so funny. This young person, she was going through menopause, young person. I think she was like 55 or something. And she had on one of those fans that you hang on around your neck that you turn on. when you're having a hot flash. And she said, you might want to put some of these on your website so people know about them. I thought it was hilarious. And I thought, well, maybe she needs to put a few little rhinestones around there or something to kind of pretty it up. It was kind of
a little bling. Are you saying we need
a little bling? But her tips. I mean, and of course, avoid alcohol. I remember when I would drink alcohol, I would get so hot during the night especially if I drank wine. And but the one great thing about living in Minnesota is that at 2:00 in the morning when I was having and we lived out in a house and we were on a half acre, so nobody could see me. But when I would really get a terrible hot flash, I could go out at 2:00 in the morning, stand on the front step out in that cold air and get relief. I thought, oh my gosh, this feels so good. And that Minnesota cold air really helps those hot flashes. But,
I've heard lots of stories of women in front of the freezer door, all of those kinds of things.
Did you have them? Did you have hot flashes?
I didn't. I started a progesterone cream, a natural progesterone cream, before I went into menopause, and that really seemed to help me. I never experienced the hot flashes, but I certainly remember my mother speaking about them. And guess what? Barb has joined us. Welcome, Barb.
Hi, Barb.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Barb Dehn. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. I'm so glad to be part of this. I apologize. I just saw the link and I thought it was tomorrow because of, anyway, I'm glad to be here. Are we live?
Yes.
We are live.
Okay, let's get started.
Okay, we've talked about your book some, and we've talked about some of the experience we have had. So tell us, Barb, tell us something about, that your book is fabulous. I've already held it up for it so everybody can see it. But I was saying how I wished, of course, I went through menopause years ago, but I really wished that I had known some of these things when I was going through it, because I had a terrible time. But what's so great now is that women are starting to share their stories, and that's what we're all about, is sharing stories of what women are going through. And that's why it's so wonderful you wrote a book like this. So.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like stories.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what just happened.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh.
So what do you want to talk about, Jean?
Well, just, tell us about, why did you write this book, and did you do, I assume, of course you did a lot of research, but.
Okay, sure. Well, should I just jump in?
Yeah, jump in.
All right. Well, I am a member of the North American Menopause Society. I am also certified by them, and I see menopausal women all the time as a women's health nurse practitioner. And I kept hearing the same stories over and over. And yes, I did a lot of research, so the book is evidence-based, but I also wanted to make it very approachable. And I wanted to make sure women could see themselves in various scenarios. So that's why I included 3 stories for each chapter, because every woman is different. Every woman's experience. And I also wanted to blend in a lot of humor.
Yes, yes. And that's good. We always have to laugh, don't we?
Yeah.
It's very, very true. Well, it is, it is such a, it is, I know one of your chapters is it's a, roller coaster, experience. And of course it really is. And one of my friends said to me one time that hadn't gone through it, she said, "What's it like?" And I said, "I felt like I was hanging from a cliff with my fingernails. And if I there was a big black hole below me. And if I let go, I would drop into that big black hole and never come out." That's how frightening it was to me. And yeah, it was. And then of course, breast cancer's in the family, so I couldn't go on hormones or anything. But I just don't remember my doctors having any kind of solutions at all. So not only was the sex painful, but it was just so painful going through menopause.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you brought up painful sex, because so many of my patients come in and they're kind of mystified. Sometimes they think, well, is it me? Is it my partner? What am I doing wrong? And we spend a lot of time talking about how when a woman goes through midlife, even before that, her estrogen levels drop. And as those drop, our vagina and our vulva is like puberty in reverse. So everything gets smaller and smaller. And so there's not as much elasticity. There's not as much natural lubrication. So pain with sex is quite a big issue. In fact, HealthyWomen did a survey about it. And, you'd be surprised that 3 out of 4 women are having pain with sex or pain with intimacy. And then let's not forget, a lot of women don't have partners, so they are self-sexual and they're still having discomfort.
Would they are still having discomfort if they were using like a vibrator or something?
Yeah, a lot of women feel discomfort even wearing underwear, right? Because everything can get so dry and discomfort. But some women who are using vibrators, or women who have a partner and not all partners are able to have penetrative intercourse. But, luckily there's a lot of options for women if they are suffering from this. And unfortunately, a lot of women don't bring this up with their healthcare provider because they don't even think that we're going to be able to solve it. Right. Or they often think that we're going to be embarrassed if they bring it up.
Right. You just think you have to, it's just something you have to go through. Your mother went through it, and so you have to go through it. Tell us some of the options they have, Barb.
So there's a lot of options, from doing absolutely nothing, but this gets worse. So I want to say to women, don't be afraid to do something about this, because it just gets worse over time. It doesn't get better on its own. Women can use lubricants. There's lots of hormone-free remedies, including a new oral medication that's FDA approved. So sometimes women don't feel comfortable inserting anything into their vagina, but certainly there are others that have estrogen in them or other hormones that they can insert in the vagina. But the point is, there's a lot of new options for women, including an oral medication that's hormone-free that can help with pain with intercourse.
Well, that's interesting.
So what do you think when you hear that there's a lot of options?
And people really need to get your book, because there's so many things in there.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because there are natural ways to sort of get the party started, as I say. Sometimes just even a warm bath can get the party started. And there's a lot of pantry remedies for lubrication that women can safely use. But can I bring up something else?
Yes.
About 1/3 of women over 50 are in new relationships.
Yes.
And we're in new relationships, and I think it's really important for us to be very open about, gosh, what else are we trying? And asking a potential partner to have testing for sexually transmitted infection. And I want to tell you, most men, and I've queried a lot, I've asked a lot of men who are over 50, and I've said, what's going to happen if a woman asks you? They say, we want to have sex with these women. We're going to do anything they ask us. So if you ask them to be tested, they will do it. I was joking with one. I said, I'll bet if I asked you to paint my house before we had sex, he goes, I'd paint the house.
But that's a great idea. Yeah, that's good information. That is so true, because I think this is women 50 and over. It's the biggest, one of the top divorce rates of any demographic is that 50 and over woman. And so there's a lot of them out there, single women, and they do want to date. So I think that's very, very good advice.
Yeah.
So, Barb, I'm thinking that as older women that are single, we now have an educational role with both ourselves and potential partners to really educate about sex, the things that we would never have even thought of when we were growing up, or in the age where we were first learning about all of this, that we now have this responsibility to be more of an educator, both about ourselves and about what's going on in the world.
Yes, I agree. And I think that after a certain point, many of my patients are either more likely to talk to their partner about what they want and what pleases them. But there are many who are not comfortable in their bodies, no matter what age they are. They're just not comfortable. They're not comfortable talking about sex. They're not really comfortable having their partners see them without their clothes on. I mean, God, that is scary, right? Because sometimes you're like, well, I'm not that perfect 20-year-old. But I'll tell you that most men don't care. Most men don't care. They're just very, very happy to be a party. And that's what research also shows. This is not just me telling you stories from my patients. They're just happy to be there.
Mm-hmm. That's weird. I can't believe that when you said that about women not wanting to take their clothes off. I thought that was like so not happening anymore.
Well, I think
my mother was like that, but that was like, 1,000 years ago. I can't believe that.
There's a big range of what people are comfortable with. And so I guess my message is, no matter where you are, you're in a normal place. There's lots of other people who may, they may want to take their clothes off, in public, or they may not even be comfortable taking their clothes off with the lights out, and, under the covers. It's all normal. The key is talking to your partner. The most important sexual organ is not between your legs, my friends. It is between your ears. And talking about sex is really important. So Jean is laughing. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's true. And I hope to God you have a partner that really understands and really is, because I think it's hard for men to understand I think it's very hard for them to understand the whole hot flash thing and the whole menopause thing.
I think you're right. They don't understand. And so sometimes I think it's helpful to tell them, especially if you're having hot flashes, when you cuddle up and you're getting really close, especially in those intimate moments, you can start to feel really hot and want to pull away. And I think it's important to say, oh, honey, you are so hot. You are making me so hot. And, it's like there's a furnace in here. But I recommend to my patients, take a shower together, because then you can cool off if you want to be intimate. And then you can, I think it's easy, not easy, but, talk to them, say, you may not know this, but I'm actually burning up inside. And most men are like, really? Tell me more about that. Gosh, that sounds awful. And then you get a little bit of empathy.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's all very interesting. Is there anything else you want to tell us about?
Well, I would say HealthyWomen.org is a great nonprofit organization, and I'm on the board. HealthyWomen.org has a lot of good information about sexuality, about women's health at all ages and stages. And then they did this amazing survey about sex at midlife and menopause. And I guess finally is, do talk to your healthcare provider about the options that are available if you're having painful sex, because you may be surprised by the wealth of options you have.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's, we have a women's clinic here in Minneapolis, and remember, Pat, they went into, they just have all kinds of information for people around here, just classes and, just tons and tons of information on all kinds of things like that. So it really is important, I think, to, kind of do your research and kind of find out. I think it's definitely gotten better. hasn't it? I mean, it's just, are women starting to share more, do you think?
Oh, so
about what they're going through.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Pat. Yes, women are sharing more. Once one woman starts the conversation and is vulnerable, and that's the thing. A lot of times we have so much shame. We think it's just us, or there's something wrong with us, or a lot of times we feel like, well, we should just put up with this. Because, I mean, really, Pat and Jean, after all, women have been putting up with a lot of stuff since puberty, right? All of a sudden your breasts start to grow, you have this period. Boy, it might be painful, you might get headaches. We put up with a lot, and we're just used to putting up with stuff, but you don't have to. I mean, there's a whole wealth of things that women put up with, like leaking urine, painful sex, you know, sagging body parts, right? That we just go, oh, well, that's my lot. Well, not necessarily, right?
That's very true.
Yeah.
Pat keeps. So once one woman feels vulnerable, once one woman says, okay, let me open up and tell the truth here, other women are likely to follow suit.
You know, okay, I have to put this out there. I read this the other day, and I don't know where I got it from or anything, but it said, we can't control aging, but we can control how we age. So, you know, that's back to that, you know, let's control, you know, try to control the how, you know, as we're aging, as we're going through menopause, as all these things are happening to us, just find out how we're going to do it. And, you know, there's all kinds of things out there on, you know, how to do it. So, and that's up to, you know, up to women to make that decision to, as they're aging and going through these things, to figure out how to get through it the best way and still be happy.
I love that you just said that. I love that, because there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? We've all heard that. Yeah. Most important thing is exercise. Really, yeah. If you want to look good and feel good, and getting plenty of sleep, and then your diet. So that contributes to healthy aging. But also, you know, walking into a room and feeling confident is the sexiest thing a woman can do, is confidence. And confidence comes from feeling good in your body, whatever that means. So I think that I love the way you said that, is that we can choose how we age.
Yeah, exactly. Well, great. Well, Pat, do you have any more questions?
No, I don't. I just think it's been very useful to have this conversation, and I'm sorry that it was such a disruption, but I think we managed to provide some really good information here and some good questions for people. And so thank you, Barb. That was excellent. We will have more on this subject on agingbutdangerous.com and on our Facebook.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I apologize for being late. I was working on the internet today, getting that connection up and running for you ladies. So thank you so much.
Good. Thank you, Barb.
Okay. Ciao. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Well, we're going to sign off. Everyone. Jeannie, any last words?
Nope. But it was, you know, that was good.
Yeah, that's great. Be sure to join our movement, agingbutdangerous.com, and help bring this information and other information about healthy aging and living dangerously with fun, spirit, and style. Go to our website, sign up, and we will see you soon. Thank you.